Welcome to Chapter 10 18th Century Political Formations. The Mughals created an empire in Indian subcontinent and controlled it until the 17th century. They started facing a variety of crises towards the closing years of the 17th century. By 1765, the British had captured major chunks of Indian territory in eastern India. Boundaries of the Mughal Empire were reshaped by the emergence of a number of independent kingdoms. After Aurangzeb's death, the Mughal Empire started to decline because of weak and inefficient rulers. States like Hyderabad, Oudh, Bengal, and states under the control of Sikhs and Marathas declared independence. The declining power of the Mughals also gave rise to some regional powers like the Jats, Sikhs, and Marathas. Mughal Empire started declining under Emperor Aurangzeb. He depleted or drained the military and financial resources of his empire by fighting a long war in the Deccan. Under his successors, the efficiency of the imperial administration broke down. It became difficult to check governors and mansabdars. Nobles appointed as governors or subadars often controlled the offices of revenue and military administration. Diwani and Faujdari were the Mughal offices of revenue and military administration. As the governors consolidated their control over the provinces, the periodic remission of revenue to the capital declined. After Aurangzeb's death, the Mughals gradually lost their power. In the northern and western India, the Mughals faced many rebellions, including revolts of peasants and zamindari. These revolts were caused by the pressures of increasing taxes. These groups were now able to seize the economic resources of the region to consolidate their positions. The Mughal emperors after Aurangzeb were unable to arrest the gradual shifting of political and economic authority into the hands of provincial governors, local chieftains, and other groups. In the midst of this crisis, Nadir Shah's invasion in 1739 and invasions of Afghan ruler Ahmad Shah Abdali between 1748 to 1761 weakened the Mughal Empire. Nadir Shah, the ruler of Iran, sacked and plundered the city of Delhi in 1739 and took away immense amounts of wealth. This invasion was followed by a series of plundering raids by the Afghan ruler Ahmad Shah Abdali. He invaded North India 5 times between 1748 and 1761. Mughal Empire was further weakened by competition among different groups of nobles. They were divided into two major groups, the Iranis and Turanis. For a long time, the later Mughal emperors were puppets in the hands of either one or the other of these two powerful groups. Two Mughal emperors, Farrukhsiyar and Alamgir II, were assassinated, and two others, Ahmad Shah and Shah Alam II, were blinded by their nobles. Emergence of new states. Through the 18th century, the Mughal Empire gradually fragmented into a number of independent regional states. Those states can be divided into 3 overlapping groups. States that were old Mughal provinces like Oudh, Bengal, and Hyderabad. They were extremely powerful and quite independent. The rulers of these states did not break their formal ties with the Mughal emperor. States that had enjoyed considerable independence under the Mughals as Watan Jagirs. These included several Rajput principalities. The last group included states under the control of Marathas, Sikhs, and others like the Jats. These were of different sizes and had seized their independence from the Mughals after a long drawn armed struggle. The old Mughal provinces, Awadh, Bengal, and Hyderabad, the three important states that were formed out of the old Mughal provinces. These states were founded by members of the high Mughal nobility who had been governors of large provinces. Sadat Khan, Awadh, Murshid Quli Khan, Bengal, and Asaf Jah, Hyderabad were the founders of these states. All the three had occupied high mansabdari positions and enjoyed the trust and confidence of the Mughal emperors. Both Asaf Jah and Murshid Quli Khan held a Zat rank of 7,000 each, while Sadat Khan's Zat was 6,000. The Mansabdari system was introduced by Mughal Emperor Akbar as new administrative machinery and revenue system. The word Mansab is of Arabic origin, meaning rank or position. The Mansabdari system determined the rank and status of a government official and military generals. Every civil and military officer was given a Mansab, which determined their salaries and allowances. The term Mansabdar means a person having a Mansab. Hyderabad. Nizamul Mulk Asaf Jah was the founder of Hyderabad state. He was a powerful member at the court of the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Ziyar. Initially, he was entrusted with the governorship of Awadh and later given charge of the Deccan. As the governor of the Deccan provinces, he had already gained control over its political and financial administration. During 1720 to 22, he gathered power in his hands and became the actual ruler of that region. Asaf Jah brought skilled soldiers and administrators and appointed mansabdars and granted jagirs. Jagir means land ownership. Jagirs were given to the Mughal officers in return for their services. In the later period, when the Mughal Empire was declining, when there was a shortage of land to be given as jagirs, crown lands were given, which resulted in the loss of revenue and hence a weakening of Mughal economy. Although he was still a servant of the Mughal emperor, he ruled quite independently without seeking any direction from Delhi. The Mughal emperor merely confirmed the decisions already taken by the Nizam. The state of Hyderabad was constantly engaged in a struggle against the Marathas to the west and with independent Telugu warrior chiefs. His ambition was to control the rich textile producing areas of the Coromandel coast in the east, but it was checked by the British, who were becoming powerful in that region. Awadh. In 1722, Burhanul Mulk Sadat Khan was appointed Subadar of Awadh and founded a state. Subadar was a provincial governor of the Mughal Empire. Awadh was a prosperous region controlling the rich alluvial Ganga plain and the main trade route between North India and Bengal. He also held the combined offices of Subadari, Diwani, and Faujdari. That means he was responsible for managing the political, financial, and military affairs of the province of Awadh. Burhanul Mulk tried to decrease Mughal influence in the Awadh region by reducing the number of office holders or Jagirdars appointed by the Mughals. He also reduced the size of Jagirs and appointed his own loyal servants to vacant positions. The accounts of Jagirdars were checked and the revenues of all districts were reassessed by officials appointed by the Nawab's court. The state of Oudh depended on local bankers and Mahajans for loans. It sold the right to collect tax to the highest bidders. Ijaradars were revenue farmers. During the Mughal period, they were tasked with collecting revenue from farmers and paying a fixed sum to the government. In the state of Oudh, these revenue farmers or Ijaradars agreed to pay the state a fixed sum of money. Local bankers guaranteed the payment of this contracted amount to the state. In return, the revenue farmers were given considerable freedom in the assessment and collection of taxes. This allowed new social groups like moneylenders and bankers to influence the management of the state's revenue system. Bengal. Murshid Quli Khan was the naib or deputy to the governor of the Bengal province appointed by the Mughal rulers. He was only deputy to the governor, not a governor or subadar. Murshid Quli Khan seized all the power that went with that office. Bengal was one of the old Mughal provinces. It gradually broke away from Mughal control under his leadership. Like the rulers of Hyderabad and Oudh, he also commanded the revenue administration of the state. In order to reduce Mughal influence in Bengal, he transferred all Mughal Jagirdars to Orissa and ordered a major reassessment of the revenues of Bengal. Revenue was collected in cash with great strictness from all zamindars. As a result, many zamindars had to borrow money from bankers and moneylenders. Those unable to pay were forced to sell their lands to larger zamindars. The formation of a regional state in 18th century Bengal therefore led to considerable change among the zamindars. The close connection between the state and bankers was evident in Bengal under the rule of Alivardi Khan. During his reign, the banking house of Jagat Seth became extremely prosperous. There were three common features among these three states of Hyderabad, Oudh and Bengal. First, though many of the larger states were established by elsewhere Mughal nobles, they were highly suspicious of some of the administrative systems that they had inherited, in particular the Jagirdari system. Second, their method of tax collection differed. Rather than relying upon the officers of the state, all three regimes contracted with revenue farmers for the collection of revenue. The practice of Ijaradaris, which was thoroughly disapproved by Mughals, spread all over India in the 18th century. The Ijaradari system was introduced by Warren Hastings. According to this, the right to collect revenue was given to the highest bidder called contractor for a period of 5 years. This system was a failure because bidding was often not related to the actual productivity of the land. The third common feature in all these regional states was their emerging relationship with rich bankers and merchants. These people lent money to revenue farmers, received land and security. They collected taxes from these lands through their own agents. Hence, throughout India, the richest merchants and bankers were gaining great influence in the new political order. The Watan Jagirs of the Rajputs. Rajputs means sons of a king. Rajputs were recognized for their bravery, faithfulness and royalty. They falls in the category of the Kshatriya warriors who fought in the battles and took care of the governing functions. Rajputs enjoyed their eminence during the 6th to 12th centuries. Until 20th century, Rajputs ruled in great majority in the princely states of Rajasthan and Saurashtra. Many Rajput kings, particularly those belonging to Amber and Jodhpur, had served under the Mughals with distinction. In exchange, Rajputs were permitted to rule themselves in their Watan Jagirs. These influential Rajput families tried to extend their control over adjacent regions. They claimed the Subadari or governor of the rich provinces of Gujarat and Malwa. These offices were renewed by Emperor Jahandar Shah in 1713. They also tried to seize portions of neighboring Mughal imperial territories. Nagaur was conquered and annexed to the house of Jodhpur, while ruler of Amber seized large portions of Bundi. Savai Raja Jai Singh founded his new capital at Jaipur and was given the Subadari or governor of Agra in 1722. The Marathas were a Marathi speaking warrior group from the western Deccan Plateau who rose to prominence by establishing a kingdom. Maratha campaigns into Rajasthan from the 1740s put severe pressure on these principalities and checked Rajputs' further expansion. The Sikhs. Sikhism, religion and philosophy founded in the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent in the late 15th century. Its members are known as Sikhs. According to Sikh tradition, Sikhism was established by Guru Nanak, led by a succession of 9 other gurus. During the 17th century, Sikhs helped in regional state building in Punjab. Several battles were fought by Guru Gobind Singh against the Rajput and Mughal rulers, both before and after the institution of the Khalsa in 1699. What is the Khalsa? You may remember reading about it in chapter 8. Guru Gobind Singh was the 10th Guru who instituted the Khalsa. After his death in 1708, the Khalsa rose in revolt against the Mughal authority. Under Banda Bahadur's leadership, the Sikhs established their own administration between the Satluj and Yamuna. They declared their rule by striking coins in the name of Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh. In the 18th century, the Sikhs organized themselves into a number of bands called Jadas. Their combined forces were known as the Grand Army or Dal Khalsa. A system called Rakhi was introduced, offering protection to cultivators on the payment of a tax of 20% of the produce. Guru Gobind Singh inspired the Khalsa with the belief that their destiny was to rule, or Raj Karega Khalsa. Their well-knit organization enabled them to put up a successful resistance to the Mughal governors and then to Ahmad Shah Abdali, who had seized the rich province of Punjab. Ahmad Shah Abdali, who is also known as Ahmad Khan Abdali, was the founder of the Durrani Empire and is regarded as the founder of the modern state of Afghanistan. The Khalsa declared their sovereign rule by striking their own coin again in 1765. The Sikh territories in the late 18th century extended from the Indus to the Yamuna, but they were divided under different rulers. One of them, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, reunited these groups and established his capital at Lahore in 1799. The Marathas. The Maratha kingdom was a powerful regional kingdom. They were a Marathi-speaking warrior group from the western Deccan Plateau or present-day Maharashtra. Shivaji established a stable kingdom with the support of powerful warrior families called Deshmukhs. Peasant pastoralists were the backbone of the Maratha army. Pastoralist is a farmer who breeds and takes care of animals. They move their livestock across the large land area for grazing. There were groups of highly mobile, and Shivaji used these forces to challenge the Mughals. After Shivaji's death, effective power in the Maratha state was wielded by a family of Chitpavan Brahmanas. They served Shivaji's successors as Peshwa or principal minister. Pune became the capital of the Maratha kingdom. Under the Peshwas, the Marathas developed a very successful military organization. Between 1720 and 1761, the Maratha Empire expanded. Malwa and Gujarat were seized from the Mughals by the 1720s. By the 1730s, the Maratha king was recognized as the overlord of the entire Deccan Peninsula. He possessed the right to levy Chaud and Sardeshmukhi in the entire region. Chaud and Sardeshmukhi were taxes conceived during the times of the great Maratha ruler Shivaji. Chaud means basically 1/4, that is 25% of gross revenue or produce to be paid to Jagirdars of Maratha Empire from enemy or alien state. In return, the state paying the tax would get an assurance of non-aggression from the Maratha army against the enemy state. Sardeshmukhi is an additional 10% tax levied upon the collected Chaud. The reasons for the additional tax was due to the king claiming hereditary rights upon the tax collection. The Sardeshmukhi directly went to the king's treasury, whereas the share of king in Chaud was 1/3 of the gross Chaud collected. In 1739, Delhi was conquered by Marathas and it expanded rapidly into Rajasthan and the Punjab in the north, into Bengal and Orissa in the east, and into Karnataka and the Tamil and Telugu countries in the south. Expansion brought enormous resources. These military campaigns also made other rulers hostile towards the Marathas. As a result, they were not inclined to support the Marathas during the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761. The Marathas developed an effective administrative system. Revenue demands were introduced, taking local conditions into account. Agriculture was encouraged and trade revived. This allowed Maratha chiefs to raise powerful armies. Scindia of Gwalior, Holkar of Baroda, and Bhonsle of Nagpur were Maratha chiefs who had powerful armies. Maratha campaigns into Malwa in the 1720s did not challenge the growth and prosperity of the cities in the region. Ujjain expanded under Scindia's patronage and Indore under Holkar's. Ujjain and Indore were large cities. They functioned as important commercial and cultural centers. New trade routes emerged within the areas controlled by the Marathas. The silk produced in the Chanderi region now found a new outlet in Pune, the Maratha capital. The Jats. The Jat people are a traditionally agriculture-based community largely in rural parts of northern India and Pakistan. The Jats consolidated their power during the late 17th and 18th centuries. Under their leader Churaman, they acquired control over territories situated to the west of the city of Delhi, and by the 1680s, they had begun dominating the region between the two imperial cities of Delhi and Agra. The Jats were prosperous agriculturists. Towns like Panipat and Balabghar became important trading centers in the areas dominated by Jats. Under Suraj Mal, the kingdom of Bharatpur emerged as a strong state. When Nadir Shah sacked Delhi in 1739, many of the notables from Delhi took refuge in Bharatpur. The Bharatpur fort was built in a fairly traditional style. At Dig, the Jats built an elaborate garden palace combining styles seen at Amber and Agra. Its buildings were modeled or architectural forms first associated with royalty under Shah Jahan. In the various state systems of 18th century India, the common people did not enjoy the right to participate in the affairs of their governments. In the Western world, this was the situation until the late 18th century. The American and French revolutions challenged the social and political privileges enjoyed by the aristocrats. The ideas of citizenship, nation state, and democratic rights took root in India from the late 19th century.